Welcome back to the Nuckhead podcast. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Hope you had a good week so far. A few things to update you on before we get into it. Pipe Dreams, no new episode this week, but it's coming back the week after, and then it'll be a bi-weekly occurrence, okay? That's the Be a Pro series I'm doing on the main channel, by the way. And then secondly, no new episode of the podcast next week because the Canucks play on Wednesday, which means I have to post the video on Thursday, which means I'll be editing all day on Thursday, unable to record the podcast. So I hope I did a good job explaining that. If I didn't, whatever, because I'm not going to repeat it. Today we'll be talking to Dave Hall. He writes for Canucks Army and he's an expert on all things Canucks prospects. He's subscribed to like 900 different streaming platforms just so he can watch NCAA games, SHL games, WHL, OHL, QMJHL, you name it. He watches it all. So yeah, he knows a lot about all the Canucks prospects from Braden Coots to Gabe Chiarot. And if you don't know who that is, that's exactly why you should listen to this podcast. So yeah, let's knuck around. Should that be what I say every intro? Let's knuck around? No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, let's knuck around. All right, Dave Hall, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me again. Good to hear from you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to jump right into it, okay? Hard-hitting question. Is it Sasson or Sasson?
To be honest, that's the $1 million question. We've even asked him, and I think he's given us. He said he doesn't really care. I'm going with Sasson.
Okay.
I'm going with Sasson, but I also, to be honest, in a pinch, I've also been heard calling him Sasson. So I'm going with Sasson, and I'm sticking with it.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm personally sticking with Sasson, even though it feels wrong going against Shorthouse.
No, that's fine.
It freaks me out, man. I feel like he's out to get me. I actually, on the last game, I don't know if you caught this. He mentioned that he might have to switch to saying Sasson because apparently Max keeps introducing him that way, introducing himself that way. So
there you go.
Let me hear your thoughts on the Canucks offseason. Where obviously, you're a prospects expert. I'm sure you love me saying that. But first, I just want to hear your thoughts on the offseason because it was it's a little weird.
It was a little weird, and obviously it wasn't ideal. I thought that they didn't go get the bodies that not only everyone thought they should get, that they thought they should get. I mean, they are kind of put in a tough spot right now, just with the league being, there's so much parity. There's, with the cap increasing, everyone's looking for the same thing. And, no one's really in a pinch to be moving people in and out. But at the same time, I mean, we're even before all the injuries started stacking up, we already saw, the issues of what not going to get those guys were. And so I don't know. For me, I didn't mind what they did with some of the stuff in the prospects side of it. But in terms of the big club, they definitely needed to go get, we all know it by now, that second line center, or at least a center in general. And so the fact that, Braden Coots, which is a great story for him to make the team, but the fact that he even makes his team out of camp is probably not the greatest indictment to them as a whole. So overall, I don't think, you can't peg at anything less than a loss for the fact that they didn't really go get any of what they were hoping to get.
Yeah, there were a lot of decisions that had me scratching my head. One of them being, and not necessarily that I disagree with it, but I was surprised by it. Hiring Foote over Malhotra. It just felt like, I guess I should say when you hear, consider all the stuff that Hughes said about him and the situation the Canucks are in regarding Hughes. I understand that aspect to it, but you're a big Abbotsford follower. I'm curious to know what you thought about that. Were you feeling that was the wrong decision?
Yes and no. I mean, he's a fantastic coach. I wasn't so worried about them short term not signing him. For me, it was more the long term. I'm okay with not signing your first year AHL coach. Yes, he won the Calder Cup, and yes, he's a fantastic coach, and yes, he probably would have been great in Vancouver. But I'm okay with playing the slow game with him, and not jumping the gun and hiring your guy right out of his first year of the AHL. But like I said, long term, now we risk losing him beyond this season, right? Like I think by now he's pretty much already shown that he's going to be an AHL coach. And so, if that means we're losing him over Adam Foote now, that's when I start to kind of bat an eye here and start to get a little upset about it. But we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I think short term, I'm not so worried about it. I think, you know, putting him in the AHL for one more season, much like a player, is never a bad idea. It's just, for me, it's long term.
He was re-signed, right? For another, wasn't it 2 more years?
Yeah. He was given his option. Yeah, which is exactly so 2 more years. Yeah. But I mean, he can in theory sign. You know, he could ask to be, you know, released if he really wanted to.
Right. I mean, I'm surprised he stayed with Abbotsford. I honestly thought he was a goner in the offseason. So I mean that's a positive. How do you like Foote so far?
Sorry to go back to it though. I mean, at the same time, he is a first year coach, right? So
yeah,
we all love him, and yes, it's a great start to win the Calder Cup. But I mean, at the same time, you know, you don't want to rush into things too quickly. So I'm not so shocked that he's not in the NHL as of yet. I do think he will be there in short term, but just, you know, I'm not so shocked that he's not there yet.
There's also a part of it being like, you know, he was part of that 2011 team. And I think that is just, you know, speaking for myself, but I'm sure a lot of people are like this. It's just, it's too nice of a story, you know, and it makes you really want it to happen. And I don't have anything against Foote, really. Well, actually, I don't. I don't know what I'm saying, implying that I do. I like him so far. What do you think of how he's deployed the team? I mean, he's been dealt a pretty rough hand, but
yeah, I think that's just it. You know, I think right now, you know, I don't think you can judge anything he's doing. I mean, what are they working on? 9 injuries right now. It's just the handy that he's been dealt right off the hop. It's, you know, it's impressive that, you know, at the very least they're in these games, right? So for now, I'm going to hold off any judgment. You know, I think it's a little more exciting than it was last year, if that's even possible with the 9 injuries. But I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm really gonna hold off on that one for now.
Fair enough. It is early. Speaking of the injuries, though, you know, there's been a ton of Abbotsford players called up already, and a few made the opening night roster. And I'm sure someone like yourself, who's watched these guys develop over the past few years, like Max Sasson or Sasson, Steve Baines. How happy were you, and what do you think of how they've been performing so far?
Yeah, I'm extremely happy, especially for a guy like Max. I just, you know, obviously it's all his doing, but I've been hyping him up. For me, it's almost you know, one of those.
You deserve some credit
just because I've been hyping him up. Not that I think he was gonna be this like NHL superstar, right? But to me, he's an NHL player. He drives play at the American League. He's the play driver. He's a one-man entry show. He can do it all. He's on the power play, the penalty kill. He can do it all. And so I just, you know, for me, he's definitely a 4th line NHL player. And so now for him to step up and not only be a 4th line NHL player, but step up and be a 2nd line center scoring goals. I mean, I just feel so good for him, right? He's just such a nice story, undrafted. You just love to see it. And the same goes for Baines. I mean, Baines, he gets a lot of flack in this market, and I'm not exactly entirely sure why that is, but you know, at least at the American League, he's a difference maker. He's a speedy winger who's got terrific vision and strong hockey IQ, and so you knew it was just about time that he was going to eventually break out and show that. No, it hasn't been the best start and the best you know, NHL career thus far, but I do think he deserves to be there, and I don't think he's been playing bad per se. So I'm happy. Also, a guy like Carlson too. You know, it's just nice to see that full line. Definitely, it sucks from someone who watches, covers, and you know, writes about Abbotsford at this moment, but it's great to see them up in the NHL nonetheless.
Baines, he's one of those players. I don't get the I wouldn't say hate, but you know, I've heard the same thing you have, with a lot of fans not liking how he's playing. I don't get it, because he gives his all every night, and you know, Vancouver fans are fickle, as we know, but they seem to have one commonality every year. If there's a player on the team that works his ass off, they love him. Right. And Baines, to me, I mean, maybe they're not watching close enough. Maybe he's not getting enough minutes, and, you know, the casual fans aren't seeing it. But to me, every night, even the nights he makes a little mistake, or the nights, well, I guess more often than not, that he doesn't get any points, he's still out there blocking shots and working his ass off. Not to say anybody else isn't, but he just, you know, he has that fire in him. And
totally.
It does confuse me
Yeah, he makes one little mistake maybe, and people jump on him for the entire night as if it's his fault, right? So
yeah, as if he's making 10+ million, right? It doesn't make
exactly.
sense. Sasson, what do you think his ceiling is?
I mean, look, he's shown already he can play a 2C at least for a game or two and go in there. I personally think I don't think that's where he slides, and I've always seen him as a third line center upside kind of guy. He's super fast. He's willing to put it all on the ice, much like Baines. He can score goals, and he's got some untapped passing ability as well. So I think 3C for sure. I just, I think if you are putting him in a 2C or anything above that, that's just being in a position that the Canucks are in right now. And so, well, I guess if we're talking, crazy upside, he's playing with Wayne Gretzky. And I say that only because that's how we used to do it at Dobber Prospects. Upside was, is he playing with Connor McDavid? Could he play on a first line? But I'm saying a 3C is what I've always kind of pegged him as at the NHL level.
Yeah, fair enough. I kind of feel the same. It's just what you said about him earlier, the way he moves. He has this the speed that makes you think he's going to do something cool every time he has the puck. So yes. I think it's easy, at least for me, to get a little too excited about what he's capable of, just because he can look so good out there.
There is nothing better, especially at the American League. Obviously, this is mostly at the American League, but seeing him curl around the net and getting the drop pass to take the puck behind his own net, it's so exciting because you just know he's looking up and he's going to find that he's going to weave through traffic and he's going to find those little holes and make his way all the way to the other side. He's just a one-man breakout. He's so fun to watch, especially at the American League. It's been a treat.
Who do you think should be given a chance that hasn't yet, and why is it Ty Mueller?
Well, kind of like, Manny Malhotra. One thing about me, and, say what you will, I try my hardest. When I talk about prospects, I really am not trying to hype them up. If I say they're having a good game, it's because I think they're having a good game. I'll be honest if I think they're playing a bad game. And, for me, I'm very big on the quote unquote slow cook, right? I'm a big proponent on not rushing these kids. It's why I was, I love that Coots made the team, but let's not, it's not to get too crazy here. For a guy like Sasson or Sasson, it's been 2 years, so I'm okay with him finally starting to make that jump. So for Ty Mueller, he's coming off a very good season as a rookie centerman. He kind of, he put himself on the map last year, especially in the Calder Cup, showing that he can do it all: power play, penalty kill, go to everything. So now that all the top guys are moving up, let's let Ty Mueller sit back down there and be the guy in Abbotsford for a season. Right. I have no problems with that. That's just a personal thing. And so and I don't know if he's quite ready to take on that day-to-day NHL role. We've already seen all these guys, struggle on the come up, and that's pretty common. And so that's why I'm such a big proponent on, letting him stew, especially in this moment in time right now where he's, kind of letting the floodgates are opening. He's the go-to guy in Abbotsford right now. So, for me, it's let's keep it going down there for in that sense.
How is Abbotsford looking? I know their record isn't great right now, and are they on a 5-game losing streak? Is that right? Six
as of last night.
What's going on there? Is it just because the Canucks are taking all their players?
Yeah, that's definitely half of it. I mean, obviously, Sasson, Ratu, although we knew he was probably going to be up, so that's definitely half of it.
Like it's a big guy.
Yeah, but they also, to be honest, they also didn't go out and sign. They lost a lot of guys. That's the one terrible thing about the AHL and winning a Calder Cup is, all eyes are on you. And so you got 31 other teams rather, blocking you. And so they a lot of the guys didn't re-sign. I think right now on the roster, there's about 6 or 7 guys on from their Calder run last year. So it's just a complete turnover. They're getting plucked left, right, and center. Their defense has just they went from a pretty awesome, exciting defense to injury-ridden to all their top young guys to now Sawyer Mynio has basically gone from being a 20-year-old rookie skating third-line minutes to now the guy. He's now running top power play, top penalty kill, playing top 5-on-5 minutes. So it's just a young, inexperienced team with not a lot of offense. I think defensively, they're fine. Their goaltending has been fantastic. All three, whether it's Nikita Tolopilo, Ty Young, Yuri Patera, they've run a 3-man system and they've been awesome, but they just can't score goals. I think they're 29th out of 32 in the league right now with 13 goals in 8 games. So it's been barren. Guys like Vitaly Kravtsov have just not really, come up offensively for them. Klimovich is still seeing healthy scratches as he just doesn't have that offensive spark that he did last year. So it's been bad. It has not been a good start.
And when it comes to guys like Mynio being pushed up the lineup, do you think, is there a risk right now that this could be hurting some of these guys' development, or is Mynio in a position to really shine? Guys like him.
I mean, yes and no. It obviously is a tough. I think you kind of have to judge it as you go. If Sawyer were to go up there and just obviously be outmanned, because it is a big jump for him going from the WHL where he was the go-to guy to the AHL, physically being the big one. He joked with me at the development camp where he did squeeze into one game 2 years ago at the very tail end of the season. He played a couple minutes for Abbotsford in the very last game of the season, and I kind of asked him how that went and what is he looking to do going forward, and he kind of joked and just said gain some weight, because that's it is a big jump. And so if he were to take on that role and struggle, then yes, you want to kind of wheel him back and just get a guy like Jimmy Schultz to kind of just take all the reins and kind of hold Mynio back. But if he's taking that and running with it, which he has, by all means, like, the American League is a perfect spot for him to kind of just take that new responsibility and grow his game. It's not the NHL where you got the best of the best. Not that the American League is a bad league by any means. It's a much better league than most give it credit for, rather. But he's not struggling, so let him ride with it. And I think it's the perfect scenario for him.
What about Vilmer Alriksson? How's he looking?
He's looking good. He's kind of as I expected. He physically stands out. Obviously, he's bigger than most of the guys on the ice already as a 20-year-old. Finally scored his first AHL goal the other day, although he was a healthy scratch last night. It's been fine. It's going to take him some time to adjust to the game, and we kind of saw that coming anyways. Like, it's not like he's been a huge point producer in the OHL anyways. We didn't expect him to come in and blow the roof on fire, rather. So it's been an adjustment. I think he stands out. He's been given power play time, third line minutes, fourth line minutes kind of thing. So it's been okay. I did expect him to have this kind of, maybe block right at the gate, though. So he's just going to adjust. He hasn't taken that like Sawyer Mynio has kind of thing. And so this is the exact opposite of kind of what I was saying is, with Mynio, if he wasn't going to take that role and run with it, then dial him back. But right now he's shown that he can handle it. It's the exact opposite with Vilmer. And, I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for him to adjust to the level, which is completely understandable with his first stint against pros. So now he just kind of has to find his way back in the lineup and, slowly make those adjustments.
Man, he's a guy I'm really rooting for.
Yeah.
You don't find 6'6" wingers very often.
That can skate.
And he's got hands too. And I've seen glimpses of him in the preseason, in the Young Stars Classic over the last couple of years. And clearly he has a skill set that if he could just hone in, I mean, I actually listened to our last podcast. You were on a year ago, almost to the day.
Yep.
And you mentioned that you see him playing NHL minutes for sure at some point in his career. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if the coaching staff can take his skill set and find a way to get him he needs to be a little bit stronger on the puck, which is crazy to think since he's just such a big body. But, there are moments where, he protects the puck so well, but then he lets the defense kind of get in on him. So if he can figure out a way to use that massive body to his advantage and that massive wingspan and reach, I think there's some damage to be had. Like I said, he skates like he's 6'2". He's 6'7", but he skates like he's 6'2".
He's 6'7"?
Yeah, he's 6'7".
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's
Jeez.
crazy. Or just under. He may be listed at 6'6", actually, but yeah, he's like right on the cusp. And he's like 240, 235. He's a massive boy and can skate like he's 6'2". So if the coaching staff can just take him, slow roll him, don't just like put him up to, here you go, kid, and toss him the wolves. I actually like the way that they're doing it right now. Take him out for the game, let him see the game from the press box, the slow build that hopefully by mid-season he's ready to kind of take on an elevated role and continue to bang out what he's doing, because it's not that he hasn't played well, it's just that he hasn't really stood out in a meaningful way, like let's say a Sawyer Mynio has. Like Sawyer Mynio has been the story of Abbotsford, in my opinion, and we just haven't seen that from Vilmer Alriksson, which is fine. You don't expect that from a 20-year-old out the gate, a fourth round pick that is a long shot. So it's fine for now. I still have NHL hopes for him. We'll see how the next 2 years go, kind of thing.
Is Kudryavtsev being overshadowed by Mynio at this point?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think once Kudryavtsev returns to Abbotsford, he reclaims, go-to everything again. The only thing, the nice thing about Mynio is he's playing everything. He's like I said, he's top line penalty kill and top line power play. Where Kudryavtsev, he's actually playing only power play right now. Like Sawyer Mynio, when Tom Willander, Sawyer Mynio, and Kudryavtsev were in the games together, Sawyer Mynio was the penalty killer out of the three. The only time Willander got on the penalty kill was when Sawyer Mynio got a penalty and Willander took his spot on the penalty kill. So that's definitely something to be said about Mynio right now. But I do think that once Kudryavtsev comes back, he's taken back his role as the go-to power play quarterback and top line right shot defenseman, because he's sliding over in the AHL. So
speaking of Willander, actually, obviously he just played his first NHL game and kind of a lot sooner than we thought.
Yeah.
What do you think? I guess I'm trying to phrase the question here, because obviously he's one of the Canucks' top prospects, but is he ready for the NHL? I mean, I thought he looked good. He didn't do anything crazy, but I guess that's kind of good. Just first game, low key. I guess my question would be, how has he looked in Abbotsford, and what do you think the rest of the season looks like for him?
Well, I'm actually glad that you said that. I'm going to point out that you said that he didn't really do anything crazy, and I think that's going to be a key for him. I think one of his downfalls is that I do think he tries too much. I think he skates so well and skates so fast that I just think he's always trying to do something crazy, like
trying to be Quinn Hughes,
for lack of a better term. Like, exactly. I just think he's the kind of player where I just don't know if his puck handling or if his IQ is good enough that he can get away with making plays like Quinn Hughes tries, right? Like he needs to just slow the game down, stick to his strengths, and go for the simple, safe play, right? I think that's going to be the element that if he plays more games with Vancouver, I think you're going to notice is that he's going to try too much. And when he does that, that's where he gets away from his game and where it gets out from him. I thought his first two games in Henderson, I thought he was just okay. Definitely was looking for a little bit more. But then I thought the second weekend, even though they lost both games in Laval, I thought he was the best player on the ice in both games. So he's got it in him. He just needs to slow it down and just play to his strengths, which is a strong skater. He has a decent first pass, as long as he's keeping it simple and getting shots through the net. Like, just keep it simple, and you'll be that top four defenseman that we all hope you can be. He just needs to kind of slow it down, I think.
Last time we spoke, you mentioned Lekkerimäki. His first couple games, I guess we were probably 10 games or so in to his AHL season, and he looked good, but you were saying that he needed to gain some strength,
yes,
and win some puck battles, and just play more of a two-way game. And it looks like he listened to that episode, I would say, because man, he looks great. Obviously, he's injured right now, but I think he's looked great so far. I mean, he's obviously gotten stronger, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just firing questions at you, man, but I have a lot because
I like it.
You're the expert here.
I appreciate it.
What do you think? What do you like about him so far this season? I know it's been a small sample size. He got injured in game 5, I think it was. But what do you think?
Well, what is so? You're right. He needed to get stronger. That was an obvious. But the one thing about Lekkerimäki that you can't knock him for is effort level. Like, he does try in the corners. He does try on the boards. He does try to make a difference out there. He just, at least last year, he wasn't physically capable of making the difference. But it wasn't for a lack of effort. So he's going to give you everything he has on every shift, and I love that about him. What I really like about his game and why I was hoping that he would make the team, I was a little split, actually. Developmentally, I thought he could have used more AHL time, but at the same time, just based on the fact that Vancouver didn't go out and get what they needed to, I was hoping he would make the team only because he's never stationary. He's constantly moving the puck. He's trying to drive play. He wants the puck. There's a difference of getting the puck and wanting the puck, and Lekkerimäki wants the puck at all times. So specifically on the power play, where especially last year, it got pretty, it was very predictable. They weren't moving a lot. Whereas, you bring up a little kid like Lekkerimäki, he comes up, when he gets that puck, he's constantly moving. He's shuffling, whether he's switching the sides or just moving around the half wall. He's moving at all times. He's moving his feet, and I love that about him. And he wants the puck. So for me, I thought he could have used some Abbotsford time again this year because, his playoffs didn't go as we all had hoped. But at the same time, once we saw him in preseason, and given the fact that Vancouver hadn't made those adjustments that we were hoping for in the offseason, I thought he was a no-brainer to make the team, as he's the offensive. Where are these goals going to come from in Vancouver is what I kept on saying in the offseason. And so if Lekkerimäki could come back a little bit stronger, then why not it be Lekkerimäki? And he did. He didn't have a long offseason, but credit to him. He's even on paper, on record, saying that he spent a lot more time in the gym than on the ice this summer, and it showed.
Yeah, he probably showed the most progress to me out of anyone when we started watching the preseason. He seemed, because I was going in like, I'm a big see, the difference between us is I probably am more trigger happy when it comes to getting a little too excited about prospects. You seem slow cooker, right? More dialed back. Even with Lekkerimäki, a guy I've been so excited for since he got drafted, coming into this year, I was kind of with you already, just accepting, like, not only do I think he could use more time in the AHL, I think that's just what's going to happen, even with the moves the Canucks made. But it wasn't until the preseason when I was like, oh, he has to make the team. Like, he just looked so good. I mean, him and Coots obviously had a lot of chemistry there, but I thought he looked great. And when he does come back, assuming he's back in the NHL, I think that's a fair assumption to make. He better be on that power play unit, that first power play unit. That I rarely correct the coach just because I don't want to assume I know better. But that was a moment when I was like, "Foot, what are you thinking? Like, is this a veterans thing? You're giving Kane that time, or like, what is it?" Because Lekkerimäki needs that spot, especially just seeing his shot in the preseason. And like you said, he moves the puck. He's never stationary. Yeah, I don't know. He's got to be on that power play, man.
Yeah, and he's a threat. Like, it's just, I 100% agree. It was a little baffling. I mean, the only thing that I could have gathered from it is maybe they just wanted to spread the wealth a little bit. At least have a strong scorer on the second unit. But I mean, that's hardly an excuse not to have him up there, because I agree, he deserved to be up there, and hopefully when he does return, he's on that spot.
It's funny because I agree with you there, but pretty much the only time the second unit gets to come out is when the first unit doesn't score. And
I know, and that's why it's not a great excuse. Like, like
it's like, okay, here, switching lanes a little bit with Artur Shilov's gone. Who do you think is the Canucks' top goaltending prospect now? I know you were high on Koskenvuo. Still can't really pronounce that. Koskenvuo. But now there's Medvedev. There's always been Ty Young. What do you think? Who's the guy?
It's been blown wide open. So Medvedev is the real deal. Goalies are a bit voodoo for me. I watch so much hockey, almost to a fault here. But it's, I still, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, his post integrations are fantastic. So I like to defer a lot with the goalies. I bring on quads for a lot of my goalie stuff. I talk to Woodley. I talk to the people that are experts in the goalies. And for everyone I've talked to, Medvedev seems to be the real deal. Like, and every single time I watch him, he has this knack of just making spectacular saves. Like there's just something about him. I don't know. He's just such a great kid. I'm buying all the Alexei Medvedev stock I can at this point. But right under him, I think Ty Young, I think Koskenvuo has kind of slid down the pegging order for me.
Really?
I mean, he also hasn't really seen any time. For some reason, he's been sitting in Abbotsford this entire time. They just released him to Kalamazoo yesterday. But he's just been sitting there as the fourth goaltender, hasn't seen any time. So at least we'll finally get to see him in some pro action in Kalamazoo, which is nice. But Ty Young, I mean, he showed he's got the stuff last year, and it was so surprising too, because 2 years ago he loses his spot in Prince George to what ended up being a first round pick in Joshua Ravensbergen. And then, last year at spring training in training camp, he, we didn't know if he was going back to the WHL as a 20-year-old or maybe going to Kalamazoo. And sure enough, he sticks to the pro level, dominates the ECHL, comes up to the AHL and doesn't dominate, but has a really good season. I think he played 9 games in total, and he looked great in those 9 games. And not only did his play, show that, but every single time we hear Patrick Alvin bring up goaltenders, he always brings up Ty Mueller. It seems like he makes an effort to always make sure he's using his name in that conversation. So for me, I just think not only myself, but I think the organization is really high on Ty Young. So I think they're going to give him all the reps that they can to make sure that he, gets the best opportunity he has. So I think for the first time in a long time, I think the Canucks goaltending depth is in a really good spot right now. And, they may, who knows, he's still playing junior, but, they may have something in the future with Alexei Medvedev here. So
are all those guys starters in your mind? Or I guess I shouldn't say all, because your Koskenvuo slipped a little. So Young and Medvedev, are those future NHL starters in your mind?
I think Medvedev's an easy starter. I think he's definitely, if you're looking for a goalie of the future, or at least a goalie of the future bet. Of course, anything can happen. The kid's 18 years old. So, but I think if you're placing a bet, I think Medvedev is an easy goaltender of the future for the Vancouver Canucks. I think Ty Young, I'd like to, I'm probably putting him as, a 1A, 1B, kind of like a Kevin Lankinen kind of style goalie, where I don't know if he's going to be that, full-fledged number one, but I do see him, with the right development, him paving his way to, at the very least, a backup role. But, these days, a 1A, 1B kind of scenario. Koskenvuo, we'll see. I'd like to see him in a pro game. And we'll make, he's been in the system for so long and he still hasn't played. So, and like in reality, he's been playing for Harvard for how many years? And he also hasn't played a lot of games there. So the actual sample size for Aku Koskenvuo is still so small, even though he's been in the system for 4 or 5 years. So I don't know. The jury's a little out on him. Ian Clark seemed to really like him. So, you never go against what Ian Clark has to say when it comes to goalies, but the sample size is just so small that it's tough to peg him right now.
So, we've been talking a lot, and I say we as in all Canucks fans, about Coots, a little less, but also about Medvedev. Are there any other guys from the 2025 draft that you're really high on that people aren't talking about enough?
I want to preface this. I hate that I have to make this, but I do want to say I'm not saying these guys are going to be absolute studs. I get my guys, and I just like them for whatever reason. Do I think they're going to be NHL stars? No, but I will admit that I actually like every single pick from this past draft. There's not a player on there based on where they were drafted that I don't think was a good value pick.
This guy's a homer.
Yeah, right. I know, and this is the first year that I will say that. There's been a lot of years that I don't like most of their picks, but this year I will say there's something that I like about every one of them. There's something about Gabe Chiarot playing with.
I was just going to say.
Yeah,
I was just going to say you seem to really like him.
Yeah, he's my kind of guy. He's leaving it all on the ice every single shift. Even when if he doesn't get on the scoreboard, I guarantee you there's been a goal that he created just off his work in all 3 zones. He's just one of those players. Like, I'm going to do a bit of a dive on him at some point here, just because he leaves it all on the table. He's now been given top line minutes in Brampton. Not a very good team, but he's been given top line minutes, and he's shown that he can put the puck in the net. He's got a pretty nice shot. I just think, again, I'm not saying he's going to be, maybe not even an NHL player. He's probably going to, if he does, he's going to be a third line player, I bet. But at the same time, there's just something about him, just that kind of, he's just like that I don't give a damn kind of demeanor to his game that I just love. So I'm really big on Gabe Chiarot, which, for a 6th-round pick is not a bad bet. I also really like, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, do you have a player comparison for him? Just so we can.
Oh man, I don't want to.
Connor McDavid.
I was gonna say Alex Burrows. Like,
oh man, okay.
Okay. I haven't. It's only been a few games that he's played, so like, maybe I shouldn't go that crazy and say something like that because obviously Burrows ended up paving this crazy career. But take out the crazy career that he had and just like the playing style. Right. Like just take away the Alex Burrows from it and just focus on the playing style because he's just like I said, he's a prick out there in the most respective way that you can say it. So I don't know. There's something about him that I just really like. Time will tell. He's obviously playing a ton of minutes right now, so we'll see what happens. But I also really like Wilson Bjork. I think he also smaller frame, but he leaves it all on the ice. He's a little bit of a honey badger out there, even though he's a bit of the slender type, but he's also super offensive. One thing a subtle thing about Wilson Bjork that I really like, and this is going to sound really weird, but this is just, someone that watches a lot of hockey, is he's always scanning the ice. Even when he's going into a corner, you always see him do a couple checks around his shoulder. There's something about that I really like. And to me, that just stands out as someone being very aware of his surroundings because he's not a very big guy. And so, when you think about someone who's not a big guy, you always worry about when they get to the next level that they're going to get, they're going to get taken out or something like that. But I just feel like he's a smart enough player that I don't know if I have those concerns with him. So Wilson Bjork is another name that I'm looking for.
His younger brother is a top prospect in next year's draft, right?
Yes. I do think, I personally think he'll slide. Like some people had him top 5, at the starting of the season. I think just based on his size, I think he will slide a little bit, but yeah, he's going to be a top prospect for sure.
I want the best for the Canucks this year. But wouldn't it be nice to have the brothers?
Why not? Right.
How far do you think he slides?
I mean, look at Victor Eklund, right? Like Victor Eklund, I think he's he's a smaller set Swede, similar type sort of style. He slid to 16. And we're talking about almost a bona fide top 10 pick most of the year last year. And so, I still think there's a very good chance that his brother goes top 10, but you never know. He could slide to the 15th.
Eklund went right after Coots, right?
Yes.
Did that bother you?
No.
Okay.
I've been banging the Coots drum since probably last Christmas. I just, he's exactly, yes, I think Victor Eklund is a fantastic player and they may have left a little meat on the bone offensively, maybe. But I mean, at the end of the day, Braden Coots is a right shot, two-way center that's almost guaranteed to play NHL minutes, right?
Yeah.
I just think
did.
Exactly. There you go. And, we're talking about a future, potential captain. There's too much in Coots' game that he's just too much of a safe bet not to take him at 50. We're talking 15th overall, right? We're not talking 7th overall, a top 10 pick here. To get a player like Braden Coots at 15th, to me, is a home run just based on the fact that he's as safe as they come. Yes, Eklund's a fun player and he'll probably, he'll do some nice things for New York Islanders. I wouldn't have been upset if they took Eklund. He's a great player. I'm a bit of a Braden Coots homer. So I got my guy. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. Coots has looked amazing so far. Going back to Gabe Chiarot for a second, I have you on record calling him a prick, obviously, respectfully. But no, I'm curious what you mean by that, because you have two types, right? Like you have the Connor Garland type, who is just, he's an asshole because he works so hard and everyone hates him for it, right? But then you have the Burrows, probably Sherwood type, where they work hard and everyone hates them for it, but they also get in your face, they bite your finger. Or no, wait, what was the story? Burrows,
he bit. Yeah, Burrows
he bit, or did he get bit?
No, he bit.
Okay, he bit, yeah.
Marchand licks and Burrows bites, yeah.
That sounds like a nursery rhyme.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, my question basically is what kind of prick are we talking about? Hard work, simply Garland type, everyone hates him, or he actually goes out, mouths off, gets
no. He for all intents and purposes, he seems like a fantastic kid. I'm hoping.
But to be clear, I mean, I would categorize someone who does that off the ice as a good guy, assuming they are.
No. I know. But what I mean is like, I just a hard worker. I just like, I'm not. There's no offside stuff that he's doing and getting under people's skin. I just think he's a really hard worker and he's digging in corners. He's going as hard as he can. He's doing the work for his line mates, which I just love to see. So yeah, I mean, like I said, he is just coming off a 2-game suspension. Not that I think it was his fault. The hit was basically the hit that Tom Wilson laid on Philip Hedl. So jury's still out on what I think about that. But I do have to watch him a little bit more. Like maybe we'll see. But right now, I'm not calling him a prick in the sense that he's doing all this offside stuff. It's just for me, he's a. I probably shouldn't have used the word prick, but
no. I'm agreeing with it. I was just joking around.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
He's just a workhorse, and I love those guys. I love the guys that are making their line mates' jobs easier. He's just putting it all on the line, and so far, I've just really liked what he puts out. Like I said, he's a 6th-round pick, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. I think for a 6th-round pick, I just think he's a lot of fun.
Burrows is I mean, it's hard to pick one, but he's pretty much my all-time favorite Canuck. So hearing there's someone in the pipeline that is even close to bringing what he brought to the table is great news. Okay, I got 2 more questions for you. They're a little silly, but I got to. It's kind of my thing. So first of all, I mean, it's not very silly, but we're recording this before tonight's game against who are they playing? St. Louis, right. So we don't know what happened. People listening to this on Friday morning do know what happened. So I kind of want to put you on the spot. Give me your prediction. What's the score? Who's the standout player? And if you're right, you're going to look like a genius. So I'm giving you an opportunity here.
Okay. St. Louis is going to win 4-2.
What?
Snuggerud is going to have 2 points.
You can't do this to me.
That's my prediction. St. Louis wins 4-2.
Anybody but Snuggerud, man.
You're not a Snuggerud guy?
Well, just because he scored twice on us last time, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I just haven't been
not the best first impression. Oh, okay, you got him in fantasy. I can respect that.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now, just with this lineup, it's just hard to envision the Canucks coming out with a win. It's just
no Garland or Hughes traveling, right?
Exactly. Like no Garland is just such. It's crazy. It's crazy that I'm even saying this. Thinking back like 2 years ago, for me to be saying like without Garland, this team is doomed. But offensively, like he's just the driver, right? Without him, I don't know where else it's coming from. I wish I could say that it was coming from Pettersson, but he's looked fantastic. He's looked great this year, right? He's looked a lot better than last year, but he's still just not driving like Garland does. So I just don't know how they're going to come out with a win. So I have to go 4-2 St. Louis.
Damn, that's brutal. They need to call up Gabe Chiarot, break a couple ruals.
I know. I'm going to get roasted for this. I'm putting way too much hype on a 6th-round pick.
I'm ramping it up too. Okay. Final question.
Okay.
So you follow the Canucks, you follow all their prospects. You're an Abbotsford guy. You'll watch an SHL game at 9 a.m. if there's a Canuck draft pick playing out there.
I will.
So there's a whole other league out there, right? There's tons of great players in the NHL, tons of great prospects. So I'm wondering, have you ever considered starting a series where you write about a random player, probably a prospect, and call that series Dave's Hall Pass?
I like it.
Yeah.
Just pick a prospect, Dave's Hall Pass.
Yeah, someone you'd love to see in a Canucks uniform.
I like that actually.
It might not work. It might not work on Canucks Army, but if it's called Dave's Hall Pass, it would.
Maybe you might be onto something here.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, there's so many times where I'm watching a game and be like, man, I really like this kid. So, I've got tons of takes on random European players.
I figured you would. So that's from me to you. I'll send you my invoice details later. Yeah, cool, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. It's always great talking to you. You know a lot more than I do about most things, but especially prospects. And you also help, not in a you're not down on anybody, but you help me kind of simmer down on how excited I am about everyone. Max Sasson is not Connor McDavid. I know that now.
And you know what? Do it. Be excited. Do it. I say go for it. The only reason why I do is just because, because obviously I talk about prospects all the time. I just, a lot of people like to think that for better or for worse, I'm either hyping these kids or, crapping on them. But really, I just, when I think of prospects, like I tend to think kind of whole organization. Like, sometimes when I talk about him, I don't mean that I think he's going to be this NHL superstar. Maybe, like, sometimes I just think he's a good player and I think he's going to play pro hockey, right? Like, I just think for me, it's an expectation thing, almost for myself. It's a bit of a guard on myself, right? Like, like right now, I'm going to come out of this. People are going to be like, oh, Gabe Chiarot, Dave thinks he's Alex Burrows. Like, I'm by no means saying that. It's like, 12 games into the season. I just really like his game. But I say be excited, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with, hyping up a player and getting excited about Lekkerimäki being, a 50-goal guy or whatever it is. Like, do what you will. If it doesn't work out, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Cool, man. Well, appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks, man.